ROLI's Noise app gets updated with some key new features. Akai Pro's iMPC app gets updated as well. And Facebook signs a deal with a major record label. Find out more coming up. Thank you for watching PDot TV, where you'll find tips, tricks, and tutorials for DJs and music performers. Now let's get into the video. So the company ROLI, who's responsible for such hardware as the C-board and the blocks, has updated their iOS app Noise. This update sees some really key new features that's been missing from the Noise app. First up, we get the ability to overdub. Now this may seem like an oversight previously, because this is such a major feature that any beat maker uses on the daily. The ability to have a section start recording, and when it loops back around, you can just start recording over again without having to erase whatever you worked on previously, and just have the ability to keep adding on to what you've recorded. Overdubbing has been a staple in apps and sequencers and DAWs for decades now. So to see it finally added to Noise makes it a lot more useful. Also, in addition to that, you can now change the length of your cue and record. So you can change the loop length, make it anywhere from 2 bars to however many bars you need the section to be, to go ahead and record and redub and overdub and all that stuff. So you can work in bigger or smaller sections, whatever your project demands. Another huge one is they've now added Ableton Link support. So this makes the whole ROLI Blocks workflow integrate a lot easier into other iOS products, as well as things like Tractor Pro or even Serato DJ, or even things like an MPC Live. There's so many products now that use Ableton Link, so having the Noise app as well as ROLI Blocks integrate really seamlessly into a workflow that you might already have makes it that much more useful. So just imagine having your Tractor Pro or your Serato DJ or any of your music making apps open, and you just want to sync and want to jam out with your friends, or even if it's just you by yourself trying to work on things, you can just hit that link button and have the BPM synced and don't have to worry about syncing issues, because it's going to work right away. And finally, another big thing is it now has Ableton Live export support. So if you are an Ableton Live user, you can take whatever you've built with your ROLI Blocks and the Noise app and just go ahead and export it directly to Ableton. So maybe you're just sketching idea if you're out traveling or on the road or just on the go, but you really want to dial it in and work on it more when you get to your actual studio. Now this process is a lot easier because you can have that full export support, so you can just take that project from your iOS device and just send it to your computer, whatever it may be that's running Ableton Live, and start working on it on your computer as well. Akai and Retronyms have been working together for several years now, and they're now on their 3rd iteration of their MPC app. First we had iMPC, then we had iMPC Pro, and now we have iMPC Pro 2. This new iMPC Pro 2 app now supports real-time time stretching. This is something that's been possible in things like Ableton Live and the newer versions of the MPC software for the computer, but was missing from things like the previous app iterations of this, as well as the older MPCs. So the ability to non-destructively, take a sample and stretch it, make it faster, slower, whatever it may be, change the tempo, change the pitch without having to actually export it and then, re-import it. And if you have to make an edit, go back and do the process over again. Since this is all real time, if you need to make an edit, it's just way more faster. You can make that small edit and it'll just work without having to process the audio over again, which is great. Also, this new app has Ableton Link support. So just like the previous app we talked about, the Noise app, this one can integrate directly into that setup as well. So you can just turn Link on and have it running in sync via BPM with any other app or any piece of hardware that you're running that uses Ableton Link. You also have other features such as audio unit support, as well as being able to import music recorded directly from music player apps such as Spotify, which is great. So if you found something on Spotify that you want to sample, maybe like something like an old Curtis Mayfield record or a soul sample or whatever it might be, you can just go ahead and just open that part of the app up, go ahead and pick the song that you were looking at and just record it directly into the app without having to bounce back and forth, which is awesome, especially with something like Spotify, which has such a vast library of music. This thing just became even more useful because you can just pull from an immense library where you can take whatever samples you have and just chop them up directly in the app and record it all in one without having to go for different sources. Or even in the past, when I had the first iMPC app, you actually had to import audio from your computer via MP3 or WAV file, whatever it might be. But this integration with the streaming services just cuts down that workflow dramatically, where you can just pull from wherever and get to working on music, which is the most important thing. And finally, recently it was announced Facebook signed a multi-year licensing deal with Universal Music Group. UMG is one of the biggest music groups out, so for Facebook to sign this kind of deal allows for things like the UMG library to be used on Facebook. So this might be a big deal for a lot of remixers, producers, DJs that feature a lot of their music, which if you are a top 40 DJ can end up being a lot of your library. So I'm curious to see how they integrate this into Facebook and see the legalities of being able to use it in videos, being able to post mixes on Facebook. I know I see a lot of people posting short routines of, their DJ routines on Facebook, but let's see if they're gonna allow for things like live mixing, or since Facebook is putting such, a spotlight on their Facebook live streaming, let's see if we're gonna be able to use it there and, stream whole DJ sets or maybe quick sets, or wherever the extent of this licensing agreement goes. I'm really curious to see how it impacts the DJ and producer world, and I'm sure we'll be able to see that in the first half of 2018. So that's it for the news this week. So question of the day, what are your thoughts on this Facebook deal and how do you think it's going to impact our industry? Go and leave that down in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. And as always, if you found this video useful, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, go ahead and click right here to subscribe to this channel. Or if you'd like to watch more content, go ahead and click on that video right there. And thank you for watching PDot TV, where you find tips, tricks, and tutorials for DJs and music performers. See you next time.